Hello, today I'm going to be talking about the essential reading book I read, The Secret Garden by Frances Hodgson Burnett. So, you should have all heard of Frances Hodgson Burnett. She was a very famous author in the late 1800s and early 1900s. And she's very, very famous for kids' fiction and the book itself being The Magical Charm. So, The Secret Garden was about a blend of power, beauty, and vividness. So, this book's really fun. The genre of this book was fiction and also mystery because it's secret garden, finding the key in the garden. Okay, and then the time and setting is in Misselate Manor, a very, very old mansion in Inglett's Yorkshire Moor. So Mary Lennox, the main girl in the book, is very spoiled and selfish. Her parents were very rich, but they were both selfish. So another day of Mary's life, everyone dies in the house. Her Aya, her parents, and everyone by the cholera, a disease that can kill anyone. So she's sent to England, her home, because she was living in India, and that's where she wasn't meant to be in. She's just because of her parents. Anyways, so she's sent to her uncle's house, Archibald Craven's house, which is the Misselate Manor, which is, just I mentioned, 600-year-old mansion that has a lot of locked rooms and secrets in there. So when Mary gets sent, she meets Martha, Miss Medlock, and Archibald Craven, which is her uncle. And then Martha and Miss Medlock, as soon as she saw Mary, they didn't like her because she's too spoiled, selfish, and doesn't even know how to dress up herself. So one day, Martha accidentally mentions about the secret garden that's been locked for 10 years. The person who locked the door was Archibald Craven, and he locked the door because of his wife's sudden death, and the garden belonged to his wife. So Mary couldn't stop the flowing of curiosity, so she went out to find the garden. And when she finds it, the garden's locked with a doorknob or something. And so she spends outside times, a lot for days, finding the key. And one day, a robin flies by, and then she's curious, and then so she follows it, and she finds the key that was been digging underground. So she goes to the garden again, and then puts the key, slides it through, and it fits. So the garden opens, and then the garden is overgrown and really, really in a bad shape. But Mary notices the life inside living, and then the spring flowers can bloom. So she just does little gardening, and then because she loves gardening a lot, so she does it, and then spring stuff blooms, and it's beautiful. And this book was really, really magical, and then there's no magical charm in it, but it's really, really magical, and how cool the story is. I won't spoil the end, but what will happen after Archibald Craven notices what Mary had done and opened their garden? I think William would most enjoy this book because he doesn't like waiting. In the first chapter, it has everything that hooks up the book, just goes shh, and so it's really, really cool. And then since it just hooks up the book, I think it's going to be really, really interested in this book. And I think Tegan will at least enjoy this book because there's hard words, and then the story might be confusing for him because he's new to English, and if he doesn't read the one with 42 page with all the skimmed stories, it might be hard for him. And also the words, and then how to pronunciation is very, very hard and stuff. So that's why I picked Taegyun. So to wrap it all up, this book was about mystery and charms and mystery about what was inside, and then the secrets hidden in the mansion. So this book's very, very interesting. If you didn't read this book, I hope you unlock the door to reading this book. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Haryong. Today I'm going to introduce you guys the book called Black Beauty. The author is Anna Swell. She published this book in 1877. This is historical fiction because there is exact timeline and is made of story. And summary of this book is Anna Swell wrote this book in first point of view, and this story is about the Black Beauty's life. First, she's owner was kind, but the owner sold the Black Beauty to Gordon. She met her friend Ginger there, and she was like the owner, and like she sold again and again. There was some nice owner and there was some bad owners, and some owners hurt the Black Beauty, and at the end the Black Beauty met kind owner, so it was happy ending. And I will most enjoy this book. I think I will recommend this book to Lena because she likes animal and she likes to take care of animal, and I think she likes historical fiction because she says she likes history. And I think I will most enjoy this book. Less enjoy this book to Lena because she likes animal, but she doesn't like historical fiction because she doesn't like history. Thank you for listening.
Hello everyone, I'm Jacob, and today I'm going to talk about a book called Black Beauty, written by Anna Swell. This book is about beauty being sold to many different kinds of owners. There are many good owners and bad owners, and this book is realistic fiction. The setting of this book is in Joe Green's pen, which Beauty lives with many different kinds of friends of horses. So Black Beauty is a horse, and in his pen there's many different kinds of horses. So there's a horse named Merrylegs and there's a horse named Ginger. So Merrylegs was a Black Beauty's friend originally, and she is a good horse and she often talks to Beauty as often. And Ginger is a very bad-tempered horse, and she often kicks and punches people, and but she talks to Beauty very much, and they are also good friends. So first, Beauty was living in Joe Green's pen, but after Joe Green's daughter had an illness, she became sold to a very bad owner. So the bad owner treats her very bad, and even though when Beauty was riding, her foot came off. So even though they did that, the owner kept riding Beauty, and Beauty got hurt on his knee. So the owner thought Beauty was useless, so it became sold to another owner. So the another owner also was a bad owner, and she treated like it was not a horse, but it was like an animal or like a devil. So she also got treated badly, and she was sold again to another owner. So the last owner was a good owner. So when so the first owner, Joe Green, when the owner was riding the horse, she met Joe Green. So Joe Green finally got able to meet Beauty once again after the bad owners, and Joe Green saw Beauty's hurt knee. So Joe Green finally met Beauty again after the many different types of bad owners. So Beauty became able to be able to return back to its owner, Joe Green. So I will most recommend this book to Brandon because I think he likes many adventures, and this book is about Beauty being many adventures, and he is being able to sold and keep sold and selling again. So I think Brandon will most enjoy this book, and it's a type of fiction. So I think Brandon also likes fiction, and he can understand the story well. And I think Paul will least enjoy this book because I don't think he likes many adventures, and I think he likes many non-fiction. So I think Paul will least enjoy this book because this story is being a little bit mixed up. So we don't know who's the main character, but I think Paul likes simple stories. So I don't think Paul will least enjoy this book. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Jessica, and today I'm going to introduce the book called The Wrinkle in Time. The author of this book is Madeleine Rango, and the genre of this book is fantasy because there's magician coming inside, and they're moving to another planets.
The setting of this book is Earth and some kind of other planets called Uriel, Ishel, and the most dangerous planet called Comatose. The summary of this book is about the little kid, Meg Murray, and she is very smart, but she doesn't have any confidence, and she has really smart little brother called Charles Wallace, and she's friend Kelvin is going to find Meg Murray's scientist father. Like he's catched by like some kind of evil monster. So she's going to find with she's friend and her little brother. So with magical guide called Mrs. Watson and Mrs. Who and Mrs. Witch. So she went to 3 different planets and she reached in the most dangerous planet called Comatose. There was the evil entity called IT, and her father and little brother was caught by him. So she needs true love and courage to catch the brother and father. So I will not spoil the end. So and then I think Haryong will most enjoy this book because Haryong likes fantasy stories and this book is a little short. So I think she will enjoy the most. And I think Daum will least enjoy because she doesn't like fantasy and magical story. Thank you for listening. Hello, my name is Lena, and today I will present a book called The Sign of the Beaver. The author of this book is Elizabeth George Spear. This book's genre is realistic fiction, and the setting of this book is inside a wilderness, like deep forest. Now, I will tell you the summary of this book. So, this book is about a little boy called Matt. He is 13 years old and he is left inside a wilderness inside a new built cabin because his dad leaves him because he needs to get the rest of his family. First, Matt doesn't know what to do and he doesn't even know how to live. But he tries to adapt and then he meets a friend called Edith and then he's a Native American. And he learns some culture and some survival skills from Edwin, and he like learns how to like live inside a wilderness, and he also like makes some friends inside the forest, and then he tries to live well, and then I think he's really brave because he's left alone inside the deep forest, and then he tries to live even though he doesn't know anything. And I will not spoil the ending, but this book I think is really fun because this book tells you about how this little boy lives inside a forest only by himself but doesn't like get help from any adults. And I learned that like we should always be brave because if Matt didn't like have bravery and he just like didn't like adopt into this forest, he might have like died or like felt like kind of bad, and then he might be like sad and and depressed. But because he was brave and then he adopted, he could like live really well and happy. So I think we should always be brave. And I think Haryang would most enjoy this book because she likes to like know about like how someone like lives and then like some wingless stories, and this book has fun like events and exciting like events, so I think she will most enjoy this book. And I think Yela will least enjoy this book because this book is like kind of short, and then I think Yena likes long stories. Yes, so I think Yena will least enjoy this book, and also this book is like kind of, it is fun, but it is kind of boring, so I think Yena will least enjoy this book. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Jin. The title of my book is Emma Unbound, and it is written by Asia said. She is an author who often writes about social issues, especially about girls and education. This book is one of her most popular novels and has been loved by readers around the world. This book is realistic fiction. It's based on real-life situations that could actually happen. It also has some coming-of-age elements because Emma, the main character, grows and changes as she faces challenges. The story takes place in a small village in modern-day Pakistan. Most of the story happens in Emma's village and later in the big house of the Han family, who are very rich and powerful. The setting house shows the difference between the rich and the poor and how unfair the world can sometimes be. Emma is a young girl who dreams of becoming a teacher, but after she accidentally offends a powerful man named Jawar Khan, she is forced to work as a servant in his house. At first, she feels hopeless, but over time she becomes stronger and learns the truth about her family. One moment I really liked was when Emma stands up for what's right, showing her courage and determination. I think my classmates who enjoy emotional and inspiring stories will really like this book. It teaches readers about courage, hope, and importance of education. It's also great for anyone who likes learning about different cultures and real-world issues. Emil's story shows that even one brave person can make a big difference. Maybe my classmates who prefer fantasy, science fiction, or action stories might not enjoy this book as much. ML Unbound doesn't have magic or battles. It's more about real life and emotions. But I still think everyone can learn something from it because it helps us understand what some people around the world go through.
The book title of this book is The Lord of the Flies, and the author of this book is William Golding. The genre of this book is fiction, and the setting of this book is the Iceland that is not human living. The summary is Rafa and Jack and other kid got accident in the airplane, and they went to the Iceland that no human don't live, and they make plan to escape the Iceland and to make and to survive. I want to recommend this to Kevin because he like book. Thank you.
The title what I will talk is Shiloh, and the summary is Marty is making Shiloh to his dog, and my memorable moment was the Marty found the Shiloh, because to me it was very impressed, because when Marty don't found Shiloh, then the story won't continue, and also the story is making Shiloh to his dog, so it was my favorite moment. And I want to share this book to Kevin and Sarah, because Kevin and Sarah are good at reading books, and they and Sarah and Kevin like dogs, and I don't want to share this book with Joseph because Joseph don't like dogs very much, and he don't like to read book. And this genre is children's book, and I want to give this book 10 out of 8 because this book was very good to read to me, and the story was very fun, but it was very hard to read and it was very long. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Chungyu, and the title of this book is Talk Everlasting, and genre of this book is non-fiction, fiction, and summary of this book is Winnie is in the forest, and they meet new family. And so have a happy life. And I recommend this book to Kevin and Sarah because they can read and they likes book and fiction books. And I will not recommend this book to Aiden and Joseph because they don't like reading. And they don't like reading. And thank you.
Hello, my name is Aiden. Today I'm gonna talk about book named The Wrestling Game, and the author of this book is Ellen Raskin. And this book's genre is mystery, and this book summary is Sam Westing founded as died, and he was a rich, so other 16 people are doing a game, so finding who will gonna get the Sam Westing's money. And most favorite character in this book is Sam Westing because he is rich, and he because of his last letter, so this story started. And my memorable event on this book is Sam Westing's die. Because of his die, the Westing game this story started. And I'll recommend this book to Kevin because Kevin like mystery stories, and I recommend this book to Alex because he don't like mystery stories, and he say he don't like books. I will give this book 10 out of 10 because I like mystery stories. Yeah, done.
Hello, my name is Dennis, and today I'm going to introduce a book about Shiloh. The author of this book is Phyllis Rashidor Neighbor, and one of the memorable events of this book is when Marty meets Shiloh and be friend with Shiloh because Shiloh didn't have a friend, and Marty and Shiloh became a good friend. My favorite character of this book is Shiloh because he became to Marty, who didn't have friend, and be loyal and kind to who doesn't have friend. And he goes through many experiences with Marty. The most memorable line of this book is when Marty says that sometimes the soul you need has 4 paws. this means that when you are tired, then you can get energy from not human. You can get energy from anyone. I would give this book 10 out of 10 because this book shows a friendship between a dog and animal, human and animal, and it shows that we can be friends with anyone even though it's not someone who we can't communicate it with. I would recommend this book to Kevin because Kevin likes dogs. And he likes reading stories. I would not recommend this book to Alex because Alex doesn't like dog that much and he doesn't like reading books. So I like this book. Done.
Hello, my name is Chrisline, and I'm going to be talking about a book called Island of the Blue Dolphins by Scott Odell. The genre of the book is adventure and historical fiction, children's novel. Fun facts about the author is that he worked as a cameraman before he was a writer. And he was a director of some companies like Paramount and MGM. He unfinished 4 colleges, and some were the good colleges. And he attended 4 different colleges. His birth name is Odell Gabriel Scott, but a publisher made a mistake and wrote his name as Scott Odell. And the book of the setting is mainly on the 19th century. And is based on the island that is called Yanis At. And it is a small island of blue dolphins on the coast on California. The rock on the cliff, where almost in the middle of the story, the main character sleeps there to survive. The boat. The main character goes on the boat, but it was just a short while, but still had a chance to survive. Some of the characters is Karana, is the main character and is brave even when she's alone on the island. Ramo, her brother. For me, I didn't really like this character because he didn't make really smart choices throughout the story. Chief Choing is Karana's father and is the chief of the tribe. Russian fur hunters is the main villain of the story and is also the enemies of the tribe. Rontu, the leader of the wild dogs. And I'll tell you about Rontu in the summary. There was an island with rich resources, and people had to survive to hunt and grow resources. One day, Russian fur hunters comes to the island and asks to hunt the otters. And eventually, it leads to disagreement with both of them. And there was a small war between them. And then the father gets killed. Later, Kimki becomes the chief. Kimki leaves the island and says he's gonna go search for a new island so he can bring help. Later, white men comes to the island. They say they are sent from Kimki, and they're here to help them. They bring boats. Later, all the people pack their bags and ride on the boat. But the main character notices that her brother is missing. She looks in the island, but sees her brother carrying a staff, and he is left behind. Karana eventually swims and gets her brother, but the boat already went away. So both of them are left behind in a deserted island. They have to hunt and gather and fish to survive. And Rammo gets killed by wild dogs, and the main character, Karana, officially becomes alone. And she makes weapons for survival and becomes the first woman to make a weapon. She tames the dogs, sometimes killed them when they didn't, and when they try to harm her. And she becomes friends with Rontu, and Rontu becomes her best friend and her protection. I recommend this book to someone that likes adventure stories and a book about survival. And I would also recommend this story to someone who likes brave characters or beautiful nature descriptions. Some people that wouldn't like this story is someone who doesn't like heavy themes like isolation, loneliness, and survival in harsh environments. And someone who likes plot twists wouldn't like the story, because this book is about how a character survives and tells us the steps of how she did it. So this is the end of my presentation.
Hello. The book's title is My Side of the Mountain, and the author of the book is Jen Greyhood Kill. Jen Cricket difficult name. The genre of the book is about the survival, and the setting of the book is the Catskill Mountain at the New York State. And there is not this book in the list. So the original book in the list was one called The Mountain, but in the library there was My Side of the Mountain. So I did that. Shame on you. But later I noticed that it wasn't wrong. It was wrong.
It was wrong or it wasn't wrong?
So why was wrong? Okay, I'll continue.
Okay.
The setting of the book is Catskill Mountain in the New York State, and it's the real mountain in the New York. The time is at 1900s, the middle of 1900s, and there's no any electronic devices or any televisions like that. The summary of this book is about the boy named Sam, who escaped from his house and ran to the mountain to escape his house and find freedom. The reason why he ran away from the house is that his house was too small and it has so many family members, and he has some troubles in the house. Okay? At first, when he came to the mountain, he actually didn't know nothing. He didn't know how to hunt, find food, or it was hard to just sleep at once because of the wild animals and sounds of it. And he also got shot from a hunter, and he get very serious injury. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. But later, he learned how to make a fire without the match, which is a great improvement for him. And also, he makes friends with wild animals, which is birds. And also he met new friends that he can rely on them. Okay? Okay. This is the story before the ending, so I will not spoil the ending. I think nobody will dislike this book. So it's such a great book, and also everyone will enjoy this book, so I recommend to everyone. Thank you.
Everyone,
Good morning.
good morning. So I just want to share you a book called The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. This book was published in 2008, September something. The genre is young adult literature, which is for us since we're young adults. Okay, let's start with the summary. So a group of people came to the New World to have a new settlement, and women were killed because of the disease. And what disease? So there was native people called spackles, and New World people fight cha cha cha. And then Spackle lost. And they're like, how dare you take over my land? And then because of the disease, women were killed, sadly. And the main character is Todd. He lives with Ben and Cillian, who raised him after, Todd's parents' death. Todd got a dog named... Todd got Ben named Menchie. Menchie. He didn't want a dog, but Ben and Cillian just gave him. I don't know, but I guess he had to take responsibility. And in this novel, Menchie and Todd fights a lot. They bark, they swear. And both of them goes to the quiet swamp, which is really quiet because in the New World, everyone can hear their thoughts. It's called noise. So if there's a person goes by, you can hear their minds. But in this quiet but in the quiet swamp, you don't get to hear anything. It's just quiet. And he tells this to Ben and Cillian, hey, I found this quiet swamp. It's really quiet. And then here starts the problem. He wasn't supposed to go to the swamp because Mayor Prentice, he's the mayor of the Prentiston where Todd lives, because Mayor have to kill him. I don't know why, because the book doesn't tell. Now Mayor Prentice tries to kill Todd, and Cillian fights for Todd, which he gets killed. This shows sacrifice for others. Really good. So Ben and Todd runs away from the mayor, and during the runaway, Ben goes to the Prentice town to see if Cillian's okay, but Cillian was dead anyways. So after the runaway, Todd meets Viola. She was the only girl, and then Viola's parents, whatever, they're killed because of the airplane crash. And then Todd later finds out a woman didn't die because of the disease. The disease affected the men, and men killed all the women. That's crazy, right? And Mayor Prentice's son, Aaron, chases Viola and Todd. But at the end, Todd kills Aaron with the knife he got from Ben. So I can tell, since he killed with knife, the title's The Knife of Never Letting Go. He didn't let go of his knife. And Viola and Todd plans to go to the Haven, which is safe place. But when they arrive, they see President Prentice. So Mayor became president. And then there's another book, but I'm not gonna spoil. And what will happen next? So I think Stanley will like this book because it's his style, adventure stuff. I don't think Yuchen will like it because this is too cruel. I recommend this book, but if you don't like swear words, I recommend not you to read it because it contains lots of swear words. Thank you.
My name is Samuel and I'm going to introduce a book called North Wind. Okay? Yeah. Author of this book is Gary Paulson. He or she is very good writer to write North Wind. Maybe he's dead right now. Genre of this book is adventurous. It talks about hard things that he overcome when he's sailing the boat. Maybe. Setting of this book is like somewhere in the ocean. He keeps sailing to survive. Yeah, summary of this book is a boy called Leif. He went to like a fishing spot, and unfortunately, he was almost to die in the ocean because of big wave. So he's trying to survive in the ocean like few times. He almost dies. Okay. Yeah, luckily he survives because he had like good mind, thinking he will never give up. Yeah, memorable moment is when he trying to think that when he has hard time he needs to be stronger, and because of that he survived. I think I will recommend to Jason, maybe because he likes adventurous books. Yeah, maybe. And I will not recommend to Yu-chan because he like very dopamine. Yeah. Although I didn't like this book because it was so peaceful. I want something like very dying. But this book was very peaceful. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name is Hayo and I'm going to talk about the book To Kill a Mockingbird. This book is a famous novel written by Harper Lee, published in 1960. It's considered one of the greatest works of American literature, dealing with racism, justice, and morality in the United States in the 1930s. So it's setting 1930s. And I'll introduce the characters. The main character of this story is Scout Finch, which her real name is Jean Louis Finch, the young narrator and protagonist. She's curious, intelligent, and learns about the world's unfairness, and gets to know very closely. And the other character is Scout's father, the protagonist's father, Atticus Finch. He is a lawyer known for his integrity and strong moral values. And the other character is Jem Finch, who is Scout's older brother, who matures and becomes more aware of society's cruelty just along with Scout Finch together. And there's Tom Robinson. He is a black man falsely accused of raping a white woman, which he didn't do, so he was falsely accused of it. And that was a huge crime back in the day. Right now it's a huge crime too, but black man talking or doing something with a white woman was a huge crime, and there's Boo Radley, a mysterious neighbor who turns out to be a kind detective. So he was very mysterious in the start of the book, and he got to help Scout Finch and his family, Gus Finch and Jim Finch. So he turned out to be kind of protective, and the family were very friendly to him too, because he did that first. And the main themes are racial injustice, which the trial of Tom Robinson exposes deep racism in the story, because he was accused, and even if he didn't do it, and everyone knows, the society knows that he didn't do it, the trial was accused and exposed, which shows the deep racism that the black people weren't together in the society with white people. And there is another theme, which is moral growth. Scout and Jem Finch learns about the justice and empathy, meaning through the father's example, which he is also a lawyer, so he could show the example better to his children, which I think is a very good setting for the book. And there is loss of innocence, which means the children's understanding of good and evil changing through as they grew, and morally and spiritually, and it draws this perfect line as they grow of good and evil, and it also changes from their younger self as they witness the real injustice and the real society's cruelness and unfairness. And the meaning of the title, The Mockingbird, I researched, and it symbolizes the innocence and goodness. Killing one means destroying something pure and honest. And I think that is very reflected to the story of the book, because Tom Robinson, the black man who was accused falsely of raping a white woman and got to the trial, are both, and the Boo Radley also, who is a mysterious neighbor, and who is shown later in the story that is kind of protective. They were reflected as mockingbirds to me, and then because they were innocent people, and they were turned out to be innocent people, but just because of their looks, their mysterious behaviors, or their race, showed harm. It looked like they were harmed to society, but it turns out they're just stereotyped, and it was society's prejudice. And the message of the author, Harper Lee, I think he emphasizes the empathy, moral courage, and standing up for justice. Even when society disagrees and everyone thinks it's a false message, or if it's a bad thing, because it talks about 1930s, and everyone thought in that time everyone thought that black people were bad, and black people weren't just humans, and weren't treated as that. And almost everyone thought that was obvious and that was justice. But nowadays we see, after time went by, we see that that was very wrong, and that was a non-moral thing for the society, and an inefficient thing for the economy. And I'll talk about the book now, but it was an American novel by Harper Lee, as I just told you. And so it was published in 1960, so it talks about 30 years before the book was published, and the story is set in the fictional town of Macomb, Alabama, during a time of deep racial segregation and economic hardship. Through the eyes of Scout Finch, I'll talk about the perspective of Scout Finch as I view. Through the eyes of Scout Finch, a young girl, the novel explores how children perceive morality and justice and humankind, human nature. And in a world full of prejudice and hypocrisy, Scout's father, Atticus Finch, serves as the moral backbone of the story, and who is a lawyer who defends a black man, Tom Robinson, falsely accused of raping a white woman. So, the father of Scouts, Atticus Finch, serves and helps as a lawyer. He helps Tom Robinson as a lawyer who was falsely accused, and the society still knows that, but no one actually stood up for the justice. But for Tom Robinson, but Atticus Finch showed up for justice and stood up, and even the society disagreed to do that. He was the one who followed his beliefs and showed his children how morality and justice of the world is not always true and not always the right thing forever. And so the mockingbird symbolizes innocence and goodness, and it's discouraged in society, and I think that's what it's very well. So the summary of the book: the novel takes place in Alabama, as I told you, in 1930, and the narrator is Scout Finch. She lives with her brother Jem and widowed father Atticus Finch, a respected lawyer, as is known for his honesty and strong moral character. And Scout and Jem spends their childhood playing and trying to learn more about their mysterious neighbor, who read by themselves. And that was a very dangerous thing if Abu Radley was an Englishman, a stranger, but it turned out to be a kind man, and he never came to his house, so it was very mysterious, and Jem and Scout both tried to learn more about him. And at the same time, their father takes on a difficult case defending Tom Robinson, a black man falsely accused by him. Who white woman is Mayala evil, and despite clear evidence that Tom is innocent, the all-white jury convicts him because of racial prejudice. Tom later tries to escape from prison, and he is shot dead. The injustice deeply affects Jem and Scout, who begin to see how unfair the cruel society can be, and it's so cruel that everyone in the society thinks that it's justice of killing an innocent black man who was accused falsely. And in the end, Blue Radley saves Scout and Jem from an attack by Bob Ewell, Mayala's father, who wants revenge on Atticus because he was trying to protect the black man who didn't do it, who was innocent. And so he wanted revenge to Atticus, and through this event, Scout finally met Blue and realized he's a kind and a gentle person, not the monster town imagined. So this is our problem in our society back then, and also now. Right now, we might not know this as a problem of the society. We might think it's just justice or the right thing to do, but as the time goes on, it could be revealed as a false thing or a wrong thing, a non-moral thing from the future. So we should always try to learn from the society, and not always from the society, but also believe in yourself and think about it without bias, and think about what's the right thing. Not just because everyone tells you to, and that because you were taught that way. You should always think what is the right thing, because it will always get revealed after time, even if you think it's just a correct thing. And the final message of the story was, in the end, Scout learns that it's a sin to kill a mockingbird, meaning it's it's wrong to harm innocent people who do no wrong, like Tom Robinson and Blue Rabbit. The story is because Tom Robinson was killed, and then the story ends with Scout's new understanding of empathy, justice, and human goodness. The best scene of the book, I think, is the most powerful and most unforgettable scene in the novel, and is the scene of the courtroom trial and verdict of Tom Robinson. And during this scene, to get closer, deeper, Atticus Finch delivers one of Luther's greatest speeches, defending Tom, a black man falsely accused of raping a white woman. Atticus calmly and logically proves that Tom could not have committed the crime, and showing that the real guilt lies behind the other of evil. Despite the truth being so obvious, the all-white jury convicts Tom simply because of his race. The courtroom is silent as the verdict is read, and Scout and Judge sits in shock, finding out about the society. And when Atticus walks out, the black citizens in the balcony stands up to show respect. And one man tells Scout, Miss Jean Lewis, stand up, your father's passing. So I think this was a very memorable scene and it really matters a lot in this book because it exposes the deep racial injustice of the society, and it shows Atticus' moral courage. He fights for what is right even when he knows he'll lose. And we can see that he still tries very hard to put the society back together and fight for his beliefs. It marks a turning point of the Scout and Jane too, as they lose their childhood innocence and witness the reality of human prejudice and what's it like to be standing on the opposite side of the society when the society is wrong. And the symbolism of the scene, I think, is where the mockingbird, the innocence, is metaphorically killed by Tom Robinson, because we think that Tom Robinson was the mockingbird and he was an innocent man, so we can see that Tom Robinson was a mockingbird as he shows his goodness and innocence, and becomes the victim of society's hatred and arrogance. The most famous and meaningful line and skill in Mockingbird is, for my opinion, I think it's you never really understand a person until you consider him from his point of view, until you climb into his skin and walk around. I think this is the best line for me because this quote captures the core image of the book, empathy, and Atticus teaches Scout that true understanding comes from seeing the world through another person's eyes and another person's perspective, putting the other person's perspectives into their eyes and trying to understand them. Even if you think they are wrong, you should at least try and know and understand what they feel like, so that you can see a wider world, a wider view of the world. Atticus teaches Scout that true understanding comes from seeing the world wide through another person's eye, not through judgment or assumption, because you don't see because everyone has different judgment and assumptions, but we don't know them unless we try to see other person's perspective. We also can't fully understand other people because we're not in the same situation. Same situation, we can understand them, but we can't understand them unless we're in the same situation. But what if they're in a very angry or some kind of bad situation that you always have in life, and sometimes people don't believe you even if you didn't do it, or even if you're still innocent like Tom Robinson, and no one believes, what would you feel like? You never understand their feeling because you're not like at that moment. So you should always try anytime. And the meaning of the line is before you judge anyone, try to understand their struggles and feelings. It's kindness, lesson in compassion, justice, and humility. Decency. I think it's timeless lesson because as the time goes on, it always comes into our society as long as people in human race are there. There are so many things that we can have on still, and there are so many things that so many opinions of different people. So we should always. That's why I think it's a timeless lesson of this quote and the justice and decency and the moral foundation of both French and novel. I would suggest this book to someone who wants to understand human nature. If you're interested in why people act unfairly, why the world is so unfair, why is everyone against me, and judge others or follow prejudice, this book really helps you see the roots of human behavior and morality through a child's eye. It helped me a lot. And I would also suggest this book to someone who cares about justice and want to know about what's right or wrong, because there's a lot of perspectives and opinions, right? So we can't really decide what's right or wrong. We can only decide what we would stop other people from doing, like the law. But laws are not always right also, because as an example, in 1913 we had slavery as a law, but we found out that it wasn't a great law. It wasn't a real thing, or we found out we shouldn't do it. So there's a lot so it depends of right and wrong, and it depends on how people think of it. So it's very unfair, and I would suggest this to people who want to know about right and wrong, because readers who believe in doing what's right even when it's hard will deeply connect with Atticus Finch. And the novel shows that what true moral strength looks like, and not true, and through violence but through integrity and quiet courage. And I would also suggest this to someone who likes deep, thoughtful stories, and if you prefer books that make you think rather than just entertain, just for fun, about society, race, and ethics. To Kill a Mockingbird, both emotional and intellectual depth. I also suggest this to teenagers, because they're in school. Teenagers learning about growing up, then scouts coming of age journey, how innocence turns into understanding. It's a perfect story for young readers who are beginning to face the real world and what's fair or unfair. So in short, To Kill a Mockingbird is for anyone who wants to understand empathy, morality, and courage, not only for entertainment, and who believes that kindness and justice still matter, and even when the world disagrees or when there are a lot of opinions about good and bad. And I would also rate this book as a 8, since I really like this book as not just for entertainment, but for thinking and how other while reading I had these thoughts of wondering how other people would interpret this or understand this, because there are a lot of ambiguity lines. Thank you for listening, and this
Hello, my name is Ryan, and the book I chose is The Outsider by S.A. Hinton. She wrote this book when she was only 16 years old, which is really amazing because the story feels very mature and deep. The book it was published in 1967, and even though it's quite old, the themes and emotions still feel very real and relatable today. As Hinton is actually one of the first authors to write about teenage life in a realistic way. That's why this book became so popular and is still read by many students around the world. Second genre of the author is coming of age and drama, but it also includes action, friendship, and tragedy. It's a coming of age story because it's about teenagers who are trying to figure out who they are and where they belong in society. There are also exciting parts with fights and danger, but the heart of the story is about emotions, loyalty, and growing up. Second setting. The story takes place in a small American town during the 1960s. In this town, society is divided into two main groups. First, the greasers, who are the poor kids from the east side, and the short for socials, who are rich kids from the west side. These two groups are constantly in conflict because of their different social classes, even though it's set in the 1960s. The problems like unfair judgment, identity, and belonging are things that many students can still relate to today. Summary of the book. The story is told by a 14-year-old boy named Bonnie Boy Curtis. He is a greaser who lives with his two older brothers, Larry and Soda Pop, because their parents passed away. Bonnie Boy and his friends Johnny, Dolly, Two Big, and others often get into trouble with the sons, who look down on them for being poor and different. One night, something terrible happens after an encounter with the sons. The Bonnie Boy and Johnny are forced to run away. They hide in an abandoned church, and during this time, they talk a lot about life and the unfairness of the world. You can really feel their fear and sadness, but also their friendship and hope. There is also a powerful scene where they risk their lives to save some children from the fire. That moment shows how brave they truly are, and it changes the way people see them. As the story continues, Bonnie Boy starts to realize that everyone, whether a greaser or a subs, is human and everyone has struggles. The book really makes you think about empathy and not judging people based on appearance or money. Which classmate would most enjoy this book and why? I think Tade will enjoy deep and emotional story. Would love The Outsiders. If you like books that you think and feel, not just watch action. This one is perfect. It's filled with meaningful quotes, realistic emotions.
Hi, my name is Paula, and I will introduce to you guys a book called An Abundance of Catherines by John Green. So this book is basically about a teenage prodigy who has dated 19 girls named Catherine and has been dumped by all of them. Sadly, yeah. And he, after being dumped by all of the Catherines, he goes on a road trip with his friend named Hassan, which is also my favorite character because he has a very good personality. He brightens up Colin and the whole mood when Colin is anxious. And yeah. Anyways, on this road trip, he meets this girl named Lindsay. And there he finds out very good life lessons. And yeah, so for context, Colin is a very he tries to mathematically do everything, and so he tries to mathematically prove that he can date Lindsay about how long, because he has dated 19 Catherines. And yeah, so now but then when he meets Lindsay, he figures out that life is not always about being special and very unique, but that life is being ordinary but finding value in it. Yeah. What else should I talk about? I said it's Hassan because his character reason.
Who would you recommend this book to?
I would recommend this. Anybody in their class? In this class? Colin? I don't know. Lindsay? I mean, yeah, the main character is Colin, and he's basically dating Lindsay. So,
Would you recommend this to Alvin?
sure. I mean, yeah, it's not like a hard book to understand, and it's like, yeah, the plot isn't that bad.
What do you know about the author?
I am not familiar with the author, honestly. Well, I know who he is, but like, I don't really know a lot about him.
Hello, I'm Jiten Ianjan, and I read The Voyage of Beagles. So, Charles Darwin wrote The Voyage of Beagles, and it's about observing the nature, and wrote about biology and geology. So originally, Charles Darwin planned to trip for 2 years, but he extended to 5 years, and he wrote about pinchbird and the back of the turtles, and he noticed that the feature of creatures are changing because of the nature. They adapt to nature and they change their shape of bodies, and this lead to natural selection. Also, he suggested new paradigm of science, and I think it's really cool because I think we need new paradigm to improve science too. So I really respect him. And the favorite sentence in this book was the natural history of this island is immensely curious and well-deserved adoption. So during this time, I think most of people believe religion a lot. So they didn't think about biology that much, but Charles Darwin believed natural selection rather than
religion, so it was quite interesting. Help me.
Who would you recommend this book to?
Oh, I think you can read very well. And I recommend to Colin because I saw Colin reading Selfish Genes. So I read Selfish Genes last year and I read this book, so it was way easy to understand for me. So I recommend to you too.
Thank you.
Who would you not recommend this book to?
Maybe who don't not interested in biology and geology, because like it's not only talking about biology. Like he talks about earthquake and some like raining and some things too. So
Does it feel like more of a story, or does it feel like more of a what should I say? Yeah.
oh yeah, but it's not that boring. Quite interesting. Like I think he like started the book with pigeons. So it was like way easy to approach to the book. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Lisa Park, and today I'll be presenting Macbeth by Shakespeare. Thank you. To start off, Shakespeare is a playwright who was alive during probably the middle centuries, around the 14th to 15th century, and he's most well known for making new words that we still use today. One of his most famous plays is Macbeth, and to briefly summarize the amount I read, it's about Macbeth, this noble taking revenge, or not revenge, just chasing his ambition to become king just because he heard a prophecy that said so. And his main enabler, or the person who mostly persuades him to do that, is his wife, Lady Macbeth. And the rest of the story is basically about how he is so wrought with guilt because he killed this king that he goes insane, basically. And and I think the most memorable thing that I remember from the book that sums up the entire story is when after he immediately kills the king, he says that blood on his hands can't be cleaned even if he goes to the ocean, because if he tries to wash the blood off in the ocean, the blood won't disappear. It'll only make the ocean turn red, which technically doesn't make sense, but it represents how even if he tries to forget his guilt, it won't go away. So, my favorite character, I think, is probably the three witches that appear throughout the story. And it's very important that there's three of them because they kind of symbolize like ancient Greek figures, mythological figures, such as the Grey Sisters, who like shared one eye, or the three fates, who basically in Greek mythology like determined like mortals' lifespans. So I think that's a good metaphor to like ancient Greek tales, and also how like prophecy ends up happening, like a self-fulfilling prophecy that Macbeth is, and that there's a lot of stories like that in Greek mythology, such as like King Oedipus and Odysseus with Hector. Yeah, and what else is there to say?
The knife.
Knife? What about the knife?
Floating one.
Floating knife? I didn't get to that part yet, I don't think.
Okay.
I already said my favorite character.
Oh. Your favorite thing about the book?
I don't know. It's a neat story, I guess. I haven't finished reading it, so I'll have to get to that. Author. I already told you about the author.
What?
At the start. Okay, you have not been listening. Okay. The person I'd recommend this book to the most, I think, would be someone who knows a lot of Greek mythology and who understands that. Maybe like a fan of Percy Jackson. That'd be a good idea. And a person who'd least like this book. I mean, Shakespeare is hard enough to read, I don't think. I think a lot of people wouldn't really enjoy plays. So yes. Thank you.
Okay, hello everyone. Today I'll talk about a Korean novel called The Vegetarian by Han Gang. It's a very unusual and powerful story that made me think deeply about freedom, identity, and the human mind. The book's title is The Vegetarian, and it was written by Han Gang, one of the most famous modern Korean writers. It's a psychological fiction, not a story about food, but about what happens when a person decides to live differently from society's rule. The story takes place in modern Seoul, South Korea, and most of the scenes happen in everyday places such as home, hospital, and an art studio. But the atmosphere slowly becomes strange and dark as the main character changes. The main character, Young-hae, lives a normal life with her husband. One day, after a terrible dream about blood and meat, she suddenly decides to stop eating meat, and her husband and family can't understand her choice, so they think she's like insane. The story has three parts, each told by a different person: her husband, her brother-in-law, and her sister. As time passes, Young-hae stops talking and starts believing she is turning into a plant. It's very emotional and symbolic. The most shocking moment for me was when Young-hae's father tries to force her to eat meat, and she refuses and hurts herself instead. That moment showed how society and family try to control her body and mind. Young-hae herself is the most memorable character. She seems weak, but actually has strong willpower. Her choice to stop eating meat is her way to escape violence and control, even if it means losing everything. I would recommend this book to people who like deep and symbolic stories that make you think about life, society, and freedom, so maybe joy. And I would not recommend this to people who likes meat, so maybe they do. So in conclusion, The Vegetarian is not an easy book, but it's very meaningful one, and it shows how a single decision can change a person's life completely. Han Gang's writing is simple but full of emotion. After finishing the book, I kept thinking about Young-hae and her wish to live freely, even as a plant. Thank you.
I presented Great Gatsby, one memorable event that really advanced the plot in the Great Gatsby, when Wilson is killed in the car event. In this tragic moment completely changed the direction of the story, become the turning point that leads to Gatsby's downfall. Up until this point, Gatsby still has hope that he can win Gatsby back and build a future he dreams of. But after that, everything starts to fall apart. It exposed the clearness and freshness of Tom and Destiny, who both caught direction but refused to take responsibility for it. Gatsby takes the blame for the advance event, though he wasn't during, which eventually led to this death. This moment stood out me because it shows how to mistake or one reckless action can destroy multiple lives. It also showed that innocent people often suffer because of the selfish action of others. We can relate to this in a smaller way because if in situation there people make choice without thinking and end up hurting others who didn't deserve it. This event taught me that one bad decision can totally change everything. And it made me think about how important it is to be careful and responsible for our action. My favorite character is the Great Gatsby. Is Jake Gatsby himself. He is my favorite because of his determination, hope, and strong belief in history. Even though those dreams are unrealistic, Gatsby spent his whole life trying to reach something that already gone. His ideal vision of love with dynasty. What makes him so fascinating is that he believed completely in the power of history. Even when the truth is against him, he keeps hoping that he can create the past that make him both inspiring and tragic. He represents the human desire to keep believing even when his world tells us it is possible. Gatsby remind me of one of my friends. Always work hard toward their goals, no matter how difficult in them. And Gatsby are similar because they both never give up, even when their dreams seem out of reach. Watching my friends persistence helped me understand Gatsby message. Better is not about whether the dream comes true, but about the strength it takes to keep believing. A line that I always remember from this book is when Dusty say, "I hope she'll be a fool that the best thing a girl can be in this world, a beautiful little fool." The say this about her daughter, and is one of the most meaningful lines in the story. Dusty seconds careless, but her word actually show how trapped she feels in her soul and materialistic world. Or I will rate the Great Gatsby a 9 out of 10. I really care this book because it explores the danger of chance dreams that are based on illusion and the way words and grammar can hide deep unhappiness. It's not just a love story, it's a story about hope. The writing is briefer and simple, like a green light in the eyes of Dr. T.G. And I recommend this book for Jade. Okay, it's done. Okay.
Oh, hello, my name is Mr. Q.
Hello.
And so, the book I read in this weekend is The Crucible. So, yeah, let's start. So before we look over the book, so we have to know about what? About exposition. Yeah. exposition. So this book was written in 1953. Which was, when was it? Yeah, McCarthyism, right? So in the 1950s, the McCarthyism was rising in USA. So it was named after Joseph R. McCarthy. So he used the method of McCarthyism to gain his political power. And it is very similar to witch hunting, which is about this book. And so finger it at your political opponents as a communist if they were to disagree with you. So this method will terrorize US society. So many people had to live in a fear. And what if we accuse someone through McCarthyism? So we are socially murdering them. Socially murdering. So you won't lose anything physically. So one cannot prove their damage. So you don't for example, you don't go to jail or lose any money, but you'll have to hide yourself and your family from the society. Even if you prove your innocence later, the accuser will not be punished. So like in this book, so people who were accused, their names were publicly hanged. So they have to like kind of hide during their whole life. So yeah, that is socially murdering individual. So the question we have to make in this book is it nature or nurture? Is human evil is nature or nurture? What do you think? What do you guys think? Is human evil is nature or nurture?
Nature.
Nature. Who think it's nature? Raise your hand. Who think it's nurture? Oh, yeah. So what is nature? Nature is born. Yeah, it is 선천적. And what is nurture? Nurture is influenced by one's surroundings. It is 후천적. So related to stoning during the lottery. So yeah, this is by the way is the lottery. And so the children killing of the street, and children include Tess' son, will throw rock at Tess. No one in the town cares to stop the lottery or sympathy to Tess for no hesitation. So an act of evil, equals an act of violence, and killing Tess for no proper reason. So the questions that we have to ask is, are they evil by their nature or nurture? What if Tess was at the other side? Would she have thrown the rock? Would you rather be Tess or children if you had a choice? Why are they not stopping this event? So are we naturally evil or by nurture? So would you have spoken against the town? And then lastly, what does silence mean? Does it indicate our agreement? So oftentimes being silent means sometimes it indicates like agreement. So if you guys have to raise your voice, then you have to raise your voice. And yeah, that is pretty much it. And I want to recommend this book to Steve. Obviously, you guys know the reason. So I'm not gonna make any comments about it. So that's it for me. Thank you guys.
Today I'm going to be talking about The Scarlet Letter by Nathaniel Hawthorne. First, when I talk about like the memorable event in the book, I'm going to be talking about how the Scarlet Letter occurs at the very beginning of the novel, when Hester Prynne is forced to stand on the scaffold in front of the entire Puritan community, and she's publicly shamed for committing adultery and is made to wear a bright scarlet letter A on her chest as a symbol of her sin. This scene is powerful because it sets the tone for the entire story, a story about sin, punishment, forgiveness, and strength. Despite being humiliated and judged by everyone around her, Hester stands tall and refuses to hide her face in shame. She faces the crowd with courage, holding her baby Pearl in her arms. This moment shows her bravery and inner strength and reveals her determination to define herself rather than being destroyed by society's judgment. This scene also reminds me of times when I had to face criticism or embarrassment, like when I made a mistake in front of others but had to accept it and move on. Just like Hester, I learned to take responsibility and stay strong in difficult moments. And I learned that this behavior can lead to personal growth and self-respect. My favorite character in the Scarlet Letter was definitely Hester Prynne, the main character. From the beginning to the end of the novel, she grows from a woman punished for her sin into a symbol of compassion, strength, and resilience. Even though society rejects her, Hester never becomes bitter or cruel. Instead, she chooses to help others by making clothes for the poor and caring for those who are sick or suffering. What I admire most about Hester is her quiet strength and ability to forgive. She accepts her punishment but doesn't let it destroy her spirit. She raises her daughter Pearl with love and independence, even when others call her a sinner or question her worth as a mother. Hester reminds me of my own mother, who shows kindness and strength even during the hard times. My mother doesn't let problems or other people's opinions stop her from doing what's right. Both my mother and Hester inspire me to stay confident and kind no matter what others think. And a line to remember is, be true, be true, be true. Show freely to the world if not your worst, yet some trait, whether by the worst, may be inferred. This quote appears near the end of the story and expresses one of Nathaniel Hawthorne's most important lessons. He wants readers to understand that honesty and truth are better than living with lies and guilt. This novel shows that everyone, even the most respected people, have flaws, and pretending to be perfect only causes more pain. This line also connects deeply to the experience of several characters. For example, Reverend Jim Dale hides his sin for readers and suffers deeply because of it. His secrecy makes him physically and emotionally weak. In contrast, Heather, who is honest about her sin from the start, becomes stronger over time. This quote is meaningful to me because it reminds me that being honest about who I am, even when it's hard, is the best way to live. It encourages me to accept my mistakes and learn from them, and to stay true to myself rather than hiding behind what other people expect me to be. And if I rate this book and give a recommendation to people, I would rate this book, The Scarlet Letter, an 8.5 out of 10. I think it is a beautifully written and thought-provoking story about guilt, redemption, and the strength of the human spirit. The language can be difficult at times because it was written in the 18,000s, but once you understand the meaning, it's powerful and emotional. Hawthorne's use of symbolism, like the Scarlet Letter A, Pearl, and the scaffold, adds deep depth and meaning to every part of the story. I would recommend this book to a friend who enjoys emotional and meaningful stories, especially ones that explore moral choices and human nature. It is not just a story about sin and punishment, it is also about courage, forgiveness, and the power to change. Reading the Scarlet Letter made me think about how people judge others and how easy it is to forget everyone makes mistakes. I tell my friend that even though it's an old story, it teaches lessons about honesty, kindness, resilience, still matter today. In conclusion, The Scarlet Letter is a story that teaches readers to face the truth, forgive themselves, and find strength through hardship. Hester Prynne's journey shows that a person's worth is not defined by their mistakes, but by how they choose to rise above them. Her courage, compassion, and independence make her one of literature's most inspiring characters. Thank you.
So I'm gonna present about A Tale of Two Cities. And the novel takes place in the late 18th century during a time of chaos and injustice in both France and England. It tells the story of several characters whose lives
lives become intertwined by fate, especially Lucy Manette, her husband Charles Journey, and a man named Sidney Curtin. One of the most memorable events in this book happens at the very end when Sidney Curtin sacrificed his own life for Charles Journey. Charles Journey, who is innocent, is sentenced to die by the guillotine during the French Revolution. Sidney Curtin secretly switches places with him in prison, allowing Journey to escape with his wife Lucy and their child. Curtin then faces the guillotine calmly, knowing that his death will give peace and happiness to the people he loves. And my favorite character is the Sidney Curtin. He is not perfect, but that's what makes him so real and interesting. He represents the idea that no matter how far a person has fallen, it's never too late to change or to do something good. And what I admire most about Curtin is his quiet bravery. He doesn't ask for credit or praise. He simply acts out of love. His sacrifice is not just for Lucy or Journey, it's also his way of finding peace and forgiveness for himself. So my favorite quote from the novel is Curtin's final line before he dies. It is a far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is far better rest that I go to than I have ever known. I think this is one of the most beautiful lines in all of literature. It shows how at the moments of his death, Curtin feels peace for the first time. He realizes that his life, which once felt empty and wasted, now has meaning because he has done something truly good. The repetition of the phrase far better makes the words sound calm and certain, like he has finally found his purpose. If I had to rate this book, I would give it 9 out of 10. The story was emotionally powerful and full of unforgettable moments. Some parts are slow because of the old-fashioned language, but once you get into it, the story becomes truly gripping. It combines romance, tragedy, and history all in one, and it makes you think deeply about what it means to live a meaningful life. I recommend A Tale of Two Cities to Steve, who enjoy historical fiction and stories about courage and personal growth. It's a classic and shows how even in dark time, kindness and sacrifice can bring hope. Thank you.